We all love our customers and nobody wants to lose them, but let's say you did. If you did lose a customer, how do you win them back? How do you get those lost opportunities, those prospects that maybe that didn't come into the boat yet? How can we do that? And if you could figure out how to do it, would you be willing to engage and actually do the practice? Well, on today's episode, my guest is going to tell you exactly what you should do. He's going to give you 3 strategies. 3! You better implement one of them. Check out the episode. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, the one and only Sales Evangelist. All you other sales evangelists out there, you're copycats, but it's me, Donald C. Kelly. Hey, I'm excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have a guest. His name is Tom Whalum, who's not only an amazing sales leader, he was also a really good individual contributor. And Tom today is going to talk about how we can win back lost customers who were our friends. Maybe we were connected together, married somehow, but then they decided to leave our company to go somewhere else. What can you say? How can you do this? And he's going to give 3 strategies. So I won't take up much more time. I want us to dive into this episode. Listen to what Tom has to say. Let's go ahead and check it out. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Hey, how are you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm excited to chat with you today and to focus on what we can do to help win back some of these customers. We know we just came through the coronavirus. We're still kind of battling through it. I mean, it's not totally gone, but we are seeing more and more organizations opening back up, and they're trying to get back into the swing of things, but we don't want to start all the way back over. How can we get these customers that we already had? But before we dive into all that stuff, I want to talk to you and to learn a little bit more about you. Tell us what you do, man.
Sure. Well, my name is Tom Whalum. I work for McKesson, the medical surgical. So what we do is we sell medical supplies. And I've been in inside sales pretty much my entire career. So, with the pandemic, it's been a crazy time for us. And, you'd like to think like, oh man, if there was ever a time to be a great salesperson selling medical supplies, right? You'd be like, oh, this is a great time, right? Everybody needs it. But I'll be honest, there's the demand outweighs the supply, and it's not like we're selling red sweaters, and no offense to people that sell red sweaters, right? But this is like life-saving stuff, and when you don't have that product, it gets it's hard, it's very hard, and you're dealing with this kind of thing on the front line every day, and a lot of stress, a lot of long hours, a lot of work, a lot of work. But I feel like we do good work, so it's a good thing.
Only the best can survive right now, right? So you're definitely doing some good stuff there.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, cool, man. Then this is exactly why I want to talk to you, because you guys have had experience with this, even before coronavirus, and now coming through the pandemic, you guys have had experience selling during this time period, but you still have some of those situations where you need to win back some of your own customers. And I think it's the same idea right now with all of us. So I want to break that down. What I'm hoping you could do is tell us the 3 things that you feel that we need to do, and then we'll take our time and break each of those down. Does that sound fair enough?
No, that's good. No, that's totally good. I think, our company, like I guess others, over time, your customers either erode or decide to choose a competitor or go somewhere else, or for whatever reason that they leave, right? You have to kind of focus on bringing them back. And the one thing I would preface it all by saying, is sometimes you want to just make sure whether it's somebody you want to bring back. I would say that if that's the first step or that's the pre-step or whatever you want to call it, you want to make sure that it's somebody you want to bring back, because for any reason, maybe they didn't pay their bills, maybe, their pricing wasn't in the right spot and you didn't make money on it, or maybe they just didn't pay the bills, whatever that is. That's the one thing I always say is, when I'm talking to a sales rep or if I'm involved in the sales call is, you need to do a little bit of homework and to find out, is this somebody we really want to bring back? You might be missing $1 million in revenue, but maybe if you were doing $1 million and it was costing you $2 million, maybe it's not somebody you want to bring back. So I'll say that's probably the first thing. While you're doing the research, you have to, sometimes, need to take, when you're digging into that research and swallow your pride a little bit and look at really what happened. Was it, was there a problem on your company side? Did you drop the ball somewhere? Was there just errors in their shipment? did you commit to do something that you're not really sure you can do? Because I sometimes see salespeople do this where they'll maybe overcommit and it just didn't work out. But finding that specific reason why they ended up leaving, you need to understand that first and understand the players involved. That's of critical importance, and that feedback sometimes, I could say, as again, successful salespeople, you got to swallow the pride a little bit. Because, hey, I'm a big shot and I'm who's just closing lots of deals, and now I got to go and someone who doesn't like us, oh man. But you have to kind of, I think, understand sort of what went wrong, and look through your company files to figure that stuff out. That's an important part of it. That's a critical important part of it.
So do we want to bring them back? And then number 2 is, why did they leave? Right?
Yeah. You got to, and you have to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and what the number 3? What would you say number 3 would be?
What I would say with number 3 is, I think a part of it is, once you understand why they left, you got to see if it's something that you can even accomplish to bring them back. Because maybe it was, okay, we need you to ship product on Sunday night at 7:00. I don't know. I'm making that up, but if that's what they need. Can you do that? Is it something you can even accommodate? Or do you have something that, hey, we can't do that, but now this is even better, and this is why? So you need to, so if you understand why they left, then you can start to put together a plan. And maybe, you said, hey, they want us to ship on 7:00 at night. Now you can go in and at least have that conversation and say, well, what's the reason being? And maybe the reason being is that we open up each morning at 5:30. So you don't need at 7, you don't need on Sunday, you need it at 5:30 in the morning on Monday. Okay, well, that we can do because our crew is there at 2 a.m, whatever. I don't know what it is. But then you can understand. You can see if you understand it, then you see if you can basically accommodate it, And so, I mean, that's I think the big piece of it. It comes down to that education, within, you understand that education and then working with your staff to do it. Because it all comes down to it. I mean, if this was a customer that did business with you, they liked you. You had a good relationship, depending on how long you had that customer, and you could bring that back. There's something that went awry that kind of broke up the relationship. Okay, well, let's understand what it is, see if we can accommodate it, and maybe we have something that's even better. And kind of going down that road. That's sort of the way.
Well, let's go straight into that then. Let's go back to the top part. So is someone even a possibility of bringing back? I mean, do you want to go back down the same road, or was this divorce a good thing? So tell us what I look for in that, or how do I go about evaluating if somebody's good or not?
I think no, indeed. And the one thing that, again, I'm a data guy. I think a lot of our great salespeople are data people, right? So you want to look to see whether it's in your CRM or whether it's even in your AR files. Are we getting paid? Do we get paid in this customer? Why did they go sideways? Oh, someone offered them a lower price. Okay, well that's a real life thing too. Okay, can we match a price like that? Is there a product that we have that's an equivalent to get them something there? So I think at the end of the hardest one, I think, is when someone's a drain on time, because sometimes we have that. We have, I usually say, you have good customers, you have good people, and it's great when you get when they both match up and you have good customers and good people. But sometimes you have good customers that I don't want to say they're bad people like in life, but maybe they're just tough customers and they want everything on the planet, And so is the amount of time and the amount of work involved in getting that revenue worth it, and that's what you have to, to evaluate. And sometimes sometimes it's in your company's CRM or that kind of thing, but maybe it's a good idea to ask the person that's been with your company for a long time, hey, do you remember ABC account? Why did we end up losing them? Oh, I don't know why we lost it, but I can tell you the guy over there would call customer service all day, all night. He was on the phone with the warehouse. He called the trucking companies and making sure it was being delivered this, and they returned all this stuff. So at least you get an idea and saying, okay, wow, is that something that I'm ready to take on to bring that guy back? And you have to evaluate that, and again, sometimes, our new reps will do it, and I think new reps in general, okay, hey, I can do, jump mountains, and I'm, super excited. I'm ready to do this whole thing. And okay. And, maybe that person who was, maybe, the tough cookie, is no longer there. And that happens too, you know? But I think, you know, if you're able to get the person on the phone and understand, you know, what the sort of story is, you can make an intelligent decision.
and I agree with that part, because I always feel that there is their side, then there's the sales rep side, and then the truth is probably right slab in the middle. So perhaps, like you said, somebody left the organization, or maybe they got promoted, they're no longer the direct contact, or maybe they still are the direct contact, but it turns out the sales rep had put wrong information and they didn't want to look stupid, so they are not going to put that in a CRM. I was a jerk to this person and didn't respond to them timely, so that's why they left. But you can find I think it's important, like you're saying, to do the due diligence first off, because if that person can be easily swayed back, it's going to be, I feel, way easier than it is to go and prospect to somebody totally new and to educate them.
Agreed. 100%.
All right, so we're on our path now. So they look good. They seem like we could get them back.
Sure. Okay, so as we're talking to them, right, and we say, okay, this all right, so this one looks like somebody we want to bring back. It's okay to have that conversation. Find out why they ended up going. Because to your point, right, it's usually somewhere in the middle. The salesperson or the company you work for might say, those guys, we're way better off. Well, I don't know. I mean, if it's $1 million account or I'll say $1 million, but it's a big account, big customer for us. Maybe with a couple of small tweaks, we can make them a profitable customer for us. We can help them, pay us faster. And looking at what happened, and I think, getting on the phone, and the first thing, is apologizing. And whether it's your fault, their fault, whatever, I talk about swallowing that pride a little bit, but saying, hey, listen, if anything else, I'm sorry you don't do business with us anymore, and I'd like to have you come back, again, whether you're new to your blog, you'll be the new guy to the account or new gal to the account. I hear stories, but Donald Kelly told me it's somewhere in the middle. So, what do you think, and let them tell you, let them say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I remember you guys, or, the guy before me told me that this is what you guys used to do, and this is a problem. Okay. Again, I think it's important to apologize, even if you don't feel like you did anything wrong, but if you're at least apologizing, we don't do business with you, because heck, I hate to lose customers just like everybody else, and then find out what it is. And I think it's very easy to, once you kind of understand what it is they want, then just say, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do on our side. If we're able to, kind of do what it is that you're asking for, I'm not saying that we can, because, it sounds like there's a lot of work involved, and would you be willing to, at least give us a shot again? I think that's a fair question. Maybe they'll say, what, the new person we have is better, they're great, they, hang the moon. Okay, that's wonderful, but, I'll send along my information, and if something happens, keep in touch. Well, at least if nothing else, so now you've taken someone who's, not doing business with you to maybe like, okay. Because that's not, believe it, this is, and I guess this, is a product example. Things happen and stuff gets crazy and there's emergencies and, maybe someone's out of stock or someone can't make a date or whatever it is. And you can be that, that guy to come in and save the day.
Coming on a white horse.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You can go from being we're not working with guys, at least to medium and neutral. That's okay. I'd rather have a prospect or a former client that, is not out spreading poison about me. Or just like, they're okay. We had we used to work with them, but, I don't know. We like the other guy better. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm okay with that. But you have to be able to, I think, swallow your pride a little bit. And I think the first thing, no matter what happened, is say, man, I'm sorry to lose your other customer, because quite frankly, I'm sorry to lose any customers. I don't want to lose anybody, right? And you can say that with all confidence and honesty.
I feel very strong on this point, just like you, because I feel as many times as sales rep, we have a strong ego. We, like you mentioned this, our pride probably don't want us to go back towards begging. But I've learned over the years, Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the concepts that I've learned over the years is to fall on the sword, figuratively. And if it was a literal, I'll have so much holes in my body because I fall on the sword so many times. because especially as a business owner now in that position, I've learned the customer's not necessarily always right, but you just may have to fall on the sword to continue the relationship down the right path. So in this case, perhaps your company did mess up, right? Just admit and accept it and just move on. And I think that's one of the things I've learned about America, right? Is America is forgiving. You look at the athletes that are the ones that lie and don't say anything about it and try to cover it up. The ones they typically get bad, tainted bad. But the ones who say, yeah, I did do that. I took steroids. I'm sorry, my head is 10 times the size now. Like, okay, well, we forgive you. No, it's a good run, wasn't it?
Right. No,
But,
100%.
yeah, but you have to be willing to fall on a sword. An example, we'll link back to that episode. It was way back early in my career, but we had a client that I was working with, and I did the typical seller situation, new seller, and I promised certain things, or I overlooked certain things. I assumed, that's what it was, better word. So it wasn't necessarily I was wrong or right, but typically the tech folks who follow me up, because there's a software, they were supposed to reevaluate and to verify those things with the client that they had the right specs. Turns out this client had just left from using Microsoft Windows Explorer time, and they switched over to everything Chrome, and our software wasn't too compatible with Chrome. And we went in, and the project manager called me today, and I remember my heart sunk, because now I'm like, crap, this is all fell apart. It's all fall apart. Turns out they did figure out a workaround. And I had to fall on a sword. I told the IT guy, the client that I spoke with for eons, I could have blamed it easily on the tech folks who were supposed to verify the tech. But I was the person in charge. I was the one who sold the gig. It should have been my thing. And in the end, the client's not going to say the tech department is different than the sales department. You all are part of company A. So you suck all together.
No, so that's the best. No, I'm sorry, that's the best way to do it, because we'll have, and we catch new reps saying like, oh, well, they didn't do this. They did that. There is no they. No. It's us. It's us. Yeah. To your point, it's us. And I mean, that's where the customer sees it. And
when I did fall on a sword with that guy, it turns out that he needed some printer. So then he went and spent I think $5,000 to $7,000 that day with us.
Hey, so there you go.
He came back in and bought some more stuff. So you got to be willing to give to get. So good. So,
no, agreed. 100%.
All right. So now we're on track. We figured out this. They look good. We could take them back.
Good.
We recognize the reason why they left. We had that adult conversation why we had a divorce in the first place, and it seems like we can get back together. So can we even do it? How do we do that? How do you evaluate that part now?
That's a good question. So I think, and again, I'll say, depending on experience level of the sales are involved, but I think you have a good idea of, I don't do the company so long, but a good idea of what you kind of can do, sort of can do, and the things that are like, you can't do at all. I want it for free. Well, I don't know about that. So when you have those conversations, like, okay, well, I think the first step in the door is once you kind of apologize and get the customer to kind of say, at least if they're upset, make them neutral, and if they're happy with someone else, and they throw a little doubt in the or see if they're willing to listen to you. So if I was talking to a customer on the phone, I might say something to the effect of like, well, okay, so now I understand why you left us, but well, let me ask you this: if we're able to do something that if we're able to do what is the reason you left, would you be interested? Would you be at least entertain maybe using us again?
Yeah.
And then get that feedback, and they might just say, no, yes, well, maybe. I mean, I had to save 10%. Yeah, if you could save me 10%, sure, I'd be interested, whatever it is, right? Because I think at that point, at least you're getting a commitment and it's worth your time, and that if you can do what it is you say you can do, they'll work with you. Now, again, I'm not saying that you can, and maybe you have to come back and say, well, I can't do 10%, but if I was to do 5%, but then maybe give you this extra service agreement or whatever the heck the thing is, maybe something else. You at least have an opportunity to present something, and that's really, I think, what you're asking for permission for. And if they say, well, yeah, put something. We get this a lot. Well, put something in front of me. Let me see what you got. Okay, great. And if I'm able to do that, you would be willing to to come back to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could do that, sure. All right. And then at least you're gaining, you're asking, for an opportunity, and they're giving you, I would. Okay, well, that's great. So now it's worth your time. I think that's an important piece of the puzzle. And then you work like the dickens to get it done. I mean, and do what you can do. I think that's a critical. Because at the end of the day, if it just doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Okay, at least you're still on speaking terms, everything, it's okay to call those guys every, whatever, few months, how's it going, checking in, that you have that, you kind of are on now okay terms. But here's what when I look at this, which is, if you had a customer that worked with it, again, to hang out, if you had someone for let's say 5-6 years, like multiple years, and then you've parted ways, like, it's not just like the salesperson and the buyer that had that relationship. There's people that, that are doing the invoices, that liked working with the person that was paying the invoices, and the customer service and the techs and the driver and the guy that picked up the box, that kind of stuff. Like, there was all these other relationships. It wasn't just, it's the kind of, we use the divorce as an example, like the parents, then it's like the kids and the cousins and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, so, because it could even, and this is, works too, is even though the salesperson is talking to the buyer, it's, not so bad if you talk to maybe the AR person at your company and say, oh, remember ABC company? Oh, yeah, I used to talk to so-and-so over there. Do you still talk to them? Yeah, kind of every once in a while. We send an email over. Ask them how the new guys, the new place, and kind of tapping into other relationships within your own organization will help too. So you kind of, even if for whatever reason you lost, or whether it was, them not paying the bill or price being, lower or better service or whatever, there's still those other relationships that you can work with. And if you had, and especially if it was a longer term relationship, business relationship, you can tap into that a little bit and have that help you.
You bring up a good point with this. Like, I feel that, what you're saying there, Tom, it requires work. And I think so many times sellers will quit after, if there's any point, and it's not even salespeople alone, it's just human nature. Wherever we find a point of resistance, we're going to go back because we don't want it. And then we also don't want tension. It's like, that's too much work. But you're right. If the AR, find out from AR, find out from, the delivery folks. It may take a little bit more steps, but if you can wiggle your way back into the organization, by all means, freaking do it. Just make it happen. Suck it up and hustle. And the other part to this too is you mentioned, and I had this thought come through my mind, is asking some of those awkward questions at that point. Because at this point, they're not a customer. What's the worst that can happen? They say no, just put it straight up. Say, say for instance, if I got all this information to you, what's the likelihood of me winning this deal back? Or is the company really a sacred cow? I mean, because I can't offend them at this point. Well, who cares? They're not even a customer anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You have nothing to lose. You have absolutely nothing to lose.
So I appreciate that. Do you have any examples of any customers or any situations where you found yourself in, or your team, where you guys had a client that went by the wayside, but you applied some of this stuff and they came back to you guys?
Yeah. This is one that I think was probably an example of a customer that had worked with us in the past and they left. So this is one of our reps calling on an account, and the customer just kept saying, no, we used to work with you guys a dozen years ago. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. And wouldn't give much of a reason, wouldn't give much of anything. And so now the rep kind of gave him a little coaching here, and in this particular, I've had a good relationship, or formulated a decent relationship with a couple of the other people at the account. And so our salesperson ended up having a relationship with one of their salespeople, whatever. Mm-hmm. And she said, hey, listen, I would love to go back to you guys. Those things were so much easier then, I'll be honest with you. I'll use the guy's name, Jim, as an example. I don't care about the big name of the account or anything at this point. But I said to Jim, I'll tell you this, Jim is looking for another supplier. He's just all twisted about you guys. And I don't know why. There was something that happened years ago, and I don't know what it is, but if you can get him to, to at least talk to you, you guys are, I know he likes your service, he likes your pricing, but for whatever is shit, and this particular didn't know the situation. So, Brett comes to me and said, what can you do? I said, I don't know, let me see if I can give the guy a call. So I gave the guy a call. I said, yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna work with you guys. I'm not gonna do anything with you guys. You burned me in the past. You made me take on inventory we didn't need it, and you wouldn't take it back, and blah blah blah. I said, how long ago was that? Oh God, 10, 15 years ago. But I'm not doing it. Wow. I said, okay. And then, so he kind of hung up on me, and I'm like, all right, that's not cool. So I waited a few days. I called him back, and he's like, it's you again. I said, yeah. I said, listen, things have kind of changed a little bit. Let me do this. Let me send you some information. And he's like, he said, whatever you want, I'm not going to read it. I said, okay. I said, so at that point, I'm like, all right, this isn't going well. I said, all right, how about this? How about I just send it to you? You delete it, and we'll go from there. He goes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I said, okay, fine. So I sent an email, and then I sent like a hard pack of just some information in the mail. I waited like a month, and I called him back, and I said, he's like, this is Tom Whalen, and he didn't know what it was. Oh, I already have a source, not using you guys. I had a problem. So I was the guy who I just was calling to make sure that you took that information I sent in the mail and you threw it in the garbage. And he was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I did. And he's starting to talk about it. He starts laughing. He's like, yeah, I did. I said, okay, listen, man. I know your problem was, with us taking, us, in the inventory thing and not return stuff. And I said, well, if we're able to fix that, would you at least consider giving us a shot again? Yeah. I know that there's some folks in your company that like working with us, and I think it was a good relationship. I wasn't here at that time, and would you at least entertain it? And he's like, all right, listen, here's the deal. I'm not the one making the decision. He's like, yeah, he was like one of the high ups. So he's like, this guy is. You work it out with him. As long as there's this inventory stuff that you guys did last time, make us take our next inventory, whatever the heck it was. He's like, I'm okay with it because everything else was perfect. It was one incident that gets wrapped up in a ton of emotion. That's like 10 years ago. I'm not working with you guys anymore. When it was like, man, it's but that's what happens. You'd be surprised how many people get twisted over one thing, and as I end up winning them back, and as being a good customer. But it was again with that pride and that one thing that goes all twisted up on, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy sometimes. But you have to be willing to take that punch in the face, and that sort of thing.
Their emotions and it goes back to show people make decision emotionally and justify it logically. And in that case, it was a perfect example. He probably was just ticked off by that sales rep and the policy, but still he had the ability. Everything else was great, but just like, it's like finding a piece of hair in your food. You want to throw the whole thing out emotionally. It was like, just take out the hair. You'll be fine. Chicken is still good.
Right. No, exactly.
But if there's so many great tips and there's so many great advice here, but if there's one major tip, one major advice you want a sales rep who's listening to this to walk away, what's that one major piece of advice, Tom?
I think, the one piece of advice is, don't be afraid to ask the tough question and to show some humility. I think if you can do that, I think you're ahead of the game, and even winning back old customers, winning back new customers, because you're gonna any sales for every company that I've worked for, there's going to be problems, and or they're going to love somebody more than you. Okay, that's okay too. You just don't know me enough to love me, but have that kind of humility to sort of at least start to have those kind of tougher discussions. And because there's so many times where I find with sales reps, they don't want to add ask the tough question, because as long as they don't ask the tough question, there's still hope, and
yes.
But I'd rather somebody say, get the heck out of here, because then at least I would rather them have that emotion that I could say, okay, well, at least I have something to work with. It's that apathy that is the hardest thing to have a business conversation about. Either hate me, love me, one or the other. But you don't get that unless you say, hey, man, listen, can we work together? What do we have to do?
Yeah.
And when you ask that, so you go like, well, again, you get all kinds of crazy responses. But if you can do that, if you're not afraid to ask the tough question and show some humility, you're ahead of the game. You're probably 5 steps above everybody else.
So true, man. Well, Tom, man, if folks out there listening to this episode want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Tom Whalen, Whalen. Actually, I have an article on LinkedIn that kind of talks about winning back lost customers, and it's kind of like I wrote about different movies and things. So you can check it out. It's kind of a little article.
Done, man. Well, we'll go and check that out later on today, man. But I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show today. Thanks so much, Tom.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
That was our good friend Tom Whalem, and if you want to go ahead and get connected with Tom, he is very active on LinkedIn, so you can find him there. Just go over to LinkedIn and search Tom Whalem. We have his information down below, and if you're watching this on TSE TV, do yourself a favor and just scroll down. You'll see below the video we have some information there. We take pretty good notes. Our team work really hard on that. We want to make sure we provide you with the most up-to-date and the correct information on our episodes and the resources. So go down below and check out those links and check out the information about Tom. Also, if you haven't done so already, check out our friends at Crumble. You're probably using a CRM and you're probably hating it because it's complicated, and you know what? You have to have an engineer to help set it up, and we don't believe in that mess. Check out Crumble. It's easy to use, it's simple, and you can even start off using it for free. You can always upgrade. Our team used Crumble and it's been amazing. We just love the visual appeal and the reporting and how simple and easy it is to take advantage of their powerful capabilities. We want you to try it for yourself. Go to Crumble. You'll see it pop up on the screen below. crmble.com/TSE. Again, that's CRM. You like that play on words, huh? BLE.com/TSE. As always, we share stuff like this because we want to help you. We want you to find more of those ideal customers. We want you to know what to say as you're reaching out and connecting with them. We want you to actually close more deals. But most importantly, we want to challenge you each and every single day to go out and do big things. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.